Hello friends, pretty recently I had an interview with Amazon and it was the first round for the SDE 2 position and I successfully cleared the first round of it. It was a phone screen interview that lasted for 1 hour. So in this video I'm going to give you full breakdown of what was my interview experience, what kind of questions were asked, how was the overall behavior, what did I feel like it, and how did I prepare for this interview. So stay tuned and you would get to know all the things. Also, I have provided the specific time slots for each one of the sections. So if you are interested in any particular item, you can just directly jump to it. The purpose of this video is to help other people so they can achieve their goals and they can become better at clearing technical interviews. So first of all, I'm going to show you that what was the prep material I used, how did I prepare for the interview, and what are the things that I found useful. So this is the first thing I got from the interviewer. It is an Amazon published guide on how to prepare for phone interviews. It contains all the things about like Amazon, about leadership principles. So these are highly useful for behavioral kind of interviews. Like for every single leadership principle, you have to know at least one or two stories of your own. Then what are the things expected in behavioral based interviews and how to prepare for technical interviews and stuff like that. Now for technical interviews, they take you to a new link. So this is the link they offer on what are the kind of questions being asked in technical interviews. Like, of course, everyone knows that there are going to be data structure and algorithm related questions, and then there is going to be some coding exercise and stuff like that. And then there could be like operating system questions. I doubt it, but mostly like distributed computing kind of systems problems. So these are really helpful. But the thing is, if you look at this portion for the software development topics, you won't find much information on what kind of questions being asked. So for that, I've actually been working on my own personal list of questions where I actually went through LeetCode, and on the LeetCode I checked that what are like some of the top companies who have asked that particular questions and how many times they have asked this question. And based on that and different topics, I actually created my own list of like 125 questions, and these are like highly asked, highly popular questions. And also if you do them, you will cover basically all the topics that are needed for in order to prepare for like any coding interview. I can guarantee you, if you do like these 125 questions, you would be able to break at least like 90% of technical interviews. Like of course, here and there is always going to be some question that is like out of nowhere and you won't be able to do it. But the thing is, this is still pretty decent in my opinion. So I'm going to share all of these three links in the description so you can check it out, and hope you like it. So during the interview, for the first 15 minutes, the interviewer only asked me leadership questions and behavioral questions. So during the behavioral questions, the questions were based on different Amazon leadership principles. But the thing is, the interviewer did not directly tell me that, hey, tell me what is like the fifth leadership principle or the seventh leadership principle. He would just ask me like some reasonable questions. Whatever answer I would give them, he will ask me like 2-3 follow-up questions. And remember, Amazon trains their interviewers really well, so they know if you are gonna lie. So in my personal advice, just don't lie, be honest with yourself, and just your honesty will show in your answers as well. The questions I was asked is like, first the person asked me that tell me a time when you showed leadership or something along those lines, and I explained my scenario that, hey, this was the time when there were a project that was going down and I had to do something and blah 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 whatnot. I explained my story, and when I completed, the person started asking me 2-3 more follow-up questions. The follow-up questions were pretty were originated from whatever the answers I gave. So like the interviewer, they will be judging you consistently, and they had pretty good poker face, so you won't be able to judge that based on your answer did they like it or not. After that, after all the follow-up questions, the person asked me another question that was like from a different leadership principle, that what was the repetitive thing that was in your team that you had to get rid of. And lucky for me, I did something with like automation in my past, and that helped my team greatly. And like there used to be a lot of manual repetitive things that we had to do that we got rid of. So I explained that. After explaining that, the person kept on going that what was the impact, what are the things you could have done better, what was your overall experience, and blah 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 whatnot. So I also explained answers to all of those things as well. Then the person kept on going that way. then I feel like that the interviewer was trying to put me in a trap, because he asked me that, okay, whatever the changes you have done with your manager, do you think like you are the only one, because you did that initiative, it worked out well? And I immediately realized that, hey, I'm not trying to self boast myself, because there were a lot of other people involved in the whole activity as well. So I, again, with the topic of being honest, I also stayed honest on that as well, and I told him that, okay, these are the things I did, these are the things the other person did, and I believe I was being honest. So I think even the interviewer also kind of like that, and that was like that was it. We did not spend much time on behavioral problems, but I think the person had a good impression of me, and I also felt nice because I was being honest with myself, and for all the problems I was able to give good answers. After that, the interviewer asked me that, okay, now we are going to jump towards some technical stuff. Okay, so now when we come to the technical side of the things, first of all, the person asked me that, okay, suppose you work for some social media, and you want to design like a social media object for any particular user. So what are the things you are going to include? So I just said that, okay, I can include a simple profile where where there is going to be a person. So person is going to be the class, and then for this person class, a person is going to have a first name, a last name, and an email address. So these are the things to identify a person, and also this person, every single person is going to have a list of other person who we are going to refer as friends. So person object is going to have a first name, last name, email address. So email address is for like identification, first name and last name, because every person has first name and last name, and then the person can have friends. So the interviewer was okay that, yeah, okay, this seems reasonable so far. Then the interviewer asked me that, okay, suppose we want to design a function where if we only provide the email address, we get the like the first name and last name of that person. So like if in the input we are given the email address, and in the output we get the first name and last name, right? So again, this was also pretty simple. Like I did not find it to be that difficult. All I said that, okay, we can use like a hash map to store the data whenever we are generating the profile, and inside the hash map, basically what we are going to do is we are going to have the email address as the key, as the key. And based on, so whenever we get like email address in the input, we can look that up immediately in like constant time, and then as the value we are going to store like the first name and last name. So then we can simply return that immediately. So interview was pretty happy up until this point. I think like these questions are designed so that you get comfortable with the interview, so that interviewer feels like he's not torturing you anymore. In my opinion, the technical question was nothing more than a LeetCode medium problem. And basically, the interviewer asked me that, okay, now since we already know that we have our like social media data structure created, right, where we have like a person object, and a person can actually have the first name, last name, and also a list of different person who are friends with this original person, right? These are the three things every single person has. Now suppose this A is a person, right, and this B is actually friend with this A. So okay, that is we are good. And also the relationship is bidirectional, which means if this A is friends with B, which means B is also friends with A. But rather than representing two different arrows, I'm just going to draw an edge representing friendship between A and B. Now it could also be possible that there is some friend C who is also friends with A and who is also friends with B. Okay, yeah, of course, friends can have multiple friends, multiple mutual friends. But it is also possible that this B actually has a friend D who is not friends with like A or C either. Again, this is also a very good possibility. And again, this D could also have a friend E who is not friends with this A, B, C, or anything. He's only friends with this D person. So that is also possible. Now the interviewer asked me that in this case, for this A, whoever is the immediate friend of this A, we can imagine all of those positions to be located at k is equal to 1. And what the person was asking me that inside the input, we are actually given the value of any person object. So suppose we are given the value of A. So A we are given as the person, and the moment we are given A as the person, we are given the first name, last name, and also all the friends of A. Remember, that is the key part. We are also given the friends of A. Also with this input, we are also given a k value. So suppose k is equal to 3 given, something like that. K can be anything, right? But this k represents this item. So immediate friends of this A, they are located at k is equal to 1 position. That's a given fact. Now whoever is friends of friends, so in this case D is actually not direct friend of A, but D is a friend of B who is a friend of A. So in this case we can define D to be located at k is equal to 2 position. And in this case, this E is actually located at k is equal to 3 position, because he's like the friend of the friend of the friend, right? Something like that. So in any scenario, basically we are given the input as a person, and we are also given some k value. So now we have to return like all the values that are located at this k position, and it can be n number of values, right? Suppose in this case, if k is equal to 3 given, now we can imagine that, okay, this E is also located at k is equal to 3, this G is also located at k is equal to 3, and this F is also located at k is equal to 3. So all of these three values, we will have to create like a list where we will put all of these values E, G and F, and this is the answer we need to return if this was the input given. So my explanation was simple. So let me just clean this up a bit. Okay, so now suppose this is the input given, right? And we are given input as A and k is equal to 3, that is given. So these are the things we need to find, and the answer we need to return like E, F and G. We already know that, but let's see that what is the approach I explained. So the approach I explained is that, first of all, okay, we are going to go in like depth first search for any single value, and we are going to go in depth until we reach to a specific value of k, and the moment we reach that, we are going to backtrack, and then we are going to start moving towards next children. So first of all, in order to do that, and in order to stop getting in a loop, we are also going to have a visited hash set. So let me also mention the visited hash set over here, and this whole thing we are actually going to do recursively. So how I convince my interviewer is that I told him that I'm going to treat like this person object as like a node in a graph, and the friendship between two friends, so I'm going to represent that as the edge inside a node. So then it helps like it helps to visualize as graph, and then we can do a lot of cool things. So first of all, okay, we are at this position number A. Currently the position of k is equal to 0, so we already know that, right? Now we are going to start iterating over the friends of A. Currently the first friend of A is equal to B. So first we will check that whether we have already visited B or not. We haven't visited B, so we are going to add an entry over here called B, and then we are going to mark B is equal to k is equal to 1 position. Remember, we need to find k is equal to 3, and every time we do like a hop of friends, we are going to increase the value of k by 1 value. So then that is going to allow us to find the proper k value. Okay, now currently we are at B position, we are moving in the DFS direction. And also remember, we can also do this with like BFS. I just did it DFS, I don't know why. So from this B, okay, now we will try to iterate over the friend of B. Again, we are going to have another like visited hash set for B as well. So for B, okay, this D is friend of B. Okay, this is the hash set, and currently from this D, we are currently at k is equal to 2 position. So again, we are going to make a recursive call to friends of D as well, because we haven't reached k is equal to 3. So now when we make a recursive call, okay, currently we are at this position number E. Okay, even also at D, we will also have to create like a visited hash set, because we don't want to get stuck in a trap. Okay, so now currently this E, okay, so E hasn't been visited, so we had an entry E over here. We are also going to have an answer list. So inside the answer list, first of all, we are going to check that, okay, the only entries that match the value of k is equal to 3, we are going to put it in the answer. So currently at this position number E, k is actually equal to 3. So because k is equal to 3, we are going to put it in the answer that, okay, E is actually one of the answers. Now because we have reached the answer, we don't need to travel further inside this E, because there is no need for that. So now we are going to backtrack. But the moment we backtrack, we are not stopped yet, because D could have potentially more friends as well. Okay, so next friend of D is F. F we haven't visited, so we'll mark F over here. F k is equal to 3 as well, so we are going to add F over here, and same we are going to do the backtrack, and again we are going to add the value G over here as well. Okay, and now we are done with this D. So now we again go and do the backtrack. Now from this B, have we visited all the friends of B? No. Why not? Because there is still one more friend of B, which is k is equal, which is this value number C. So at this position number C, actually the value of the C is k is equal to 2, sorry, k. So at the C, the position is actually k is equal to 1. Why? Because C is also friends with A as well. So again, the moment we are searching for any values, first we will check that whether that is already friends with A or not. So even for this D, we would check that, okay, whether this D is an immediate friend of A or not. If it's an immediate friend, we return like k is equal to 1 immediately. Otherwise, we go to the next elements. Okay, so now in this case we have already visited C as well. Now from we are again at this position number A. So from this position number A, we have only visited B, but we haven't visited C. So we'll try to visit C. When we visit C, C only have one friend B. B we have already visited, so now we don't need to visit anymore. So now we have visited all the nodes that we could from this A. So we are going to return whatever we have stored as the answer, and in this case as the answer we are going to return the values of E, F and G. And this was the solution I proposed. And even during my interview, I actually brought out my iPad and I draw this on my screen and I shared my screen with the interviewer. So interviewer really liked that. And if we see time complexity, in this case the time complexity is actually going to be big O of m plus n, where m is the number of nodes and n is the number of edges. Because there is a graph traversal problem, this is what would be the time complexity. So my explanation, conceptual explanation was really good. And but the issue happened when I actually wanted to start doing the coding. During the coding, I faced like many bugs and many small errors. So at times I felt like I got stuck. So the interviewer was really helpful, and that person told me that, okay, over here maybe we can try to do things differently, and he even gave me many hints as well. And in my opinion, there is nothing wrong with asking for hints, or if you are stuck, just like be honest and tell them about it. So I felt that really helped me a lot. And after this interview ended, like the person told me that I should get an answer within like few days. And one really good thing about Amazon is that they usually give you answer within like 2 to 3 days, and which is a good thing, because I've interviewed at a lot of other companies where even for 2 weeks you don't get an answer, and you are always stuck in anxiety that what would happen with my application, will I get it or not, and things like that. So yeah, that's a good thing about Amazon. Okay, so in conclusion regarding my interview experience, I just want to let you know that the whole process was pretty smooth, pretty wonderful. No issues with that. In terms of interviewer, if I have to say some words, I feel like interviewer was really good, really knowledgeable. He was very professional. Like there was no instance where I felt that he could have done something better. They are well trained, and Amazon is always known for their good interviewers. So I also felt that the interviewer had really good poker face. So you can't judge whether the interviewer is liking you or not liking you, which I guess kudos to them, because that is their job, not to disclose anything. And they were pretty respectful. And even my interview was scheduled for 1 hour, but the interviewer let me have like extra 10-15 minutes because I was having some issues with coding. So yeah, I have to give props to them. That was like a really good thing. In terms of recruiter, I felt that recruiters at Amazon are some of the most hardworking recruiters because they have so many job openings. And I felt that most of the recruiters at Amazon's, like I had to work with 2-3 different people to schedule all the interviews and maintain all the logistics. I felt all of them were really hardworking. They were always responding to my any queries within like a same day, or not, if not even few hours. So like that is better than most of the recruiters I have worked with, because in other companies, as I mentioned earlier, like I would send them an email and I have to wait for like 2-3 weeks before recruiter gets back to me. And I really feel like ghosting is not a good thing that a recruiter should do. Yeah, so the whole process was pretty smooth. I'm still in process for the subsequent rounds, and when I do that, I'll be making sure to posting videos. And hope you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments if I can do something better to make these videos more entertaining. Thank you.